Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios inside the bunker in beautiful New Jersey and, well, somewhere in Chicago, Illinois. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils take on the Colorado Avalanche tonight at Prudential Center as people are filing in, waiting in line to get the new Stadium Series jerseys, at least season ticket holders at least. Right now, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinnie Parise of pucksandpitchforks.com. Long time no see, Vinnie. Actually, Vinnie, you're muted.
Completely bumped it. Didn't even mean to do that. It's been a while. I mean, it's been, 10 days since the Devils last played? Something like that? Something along those lines?
You're showing your rust right now by hitting the mute button by accident.
Exactly. My cursor just happened to be on the microphone symbol, and that just happens from time to time. Not really. But yeah, 10 days or so since they last played. Tough stretch. 3-6-1 in their last 10 games going into the bye/all-star break. No Jack Hughes during any of that. It was a tough month. January kind of sucked when it comes to being the New Jersey Devils. They didn't do a lot of winning. It's nothing like last January where they basically won every game in January and really propelled themselves into like guaranteeing themselves a playoff spot. They're on the fringe right now. Need a big second half, and it really starts today against one of the best teams in the NHL.
Yeah, it definitely starts tonight. Jack Hughes is starting to get better. Skating with non-contact jersey, with contact jersey. But another name that we haven't heard all year, practically he's just kind of Mr. Irrelevant. Nosek is back, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And Tomas Nosek was a good player for the Boston Bruins last year. He was with Vegas when they went to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, he's made an impact on the league. There's no doubt about it. One of the better bottom six forwards that we've seen go across from team to team here over the last couple of years. Surgery early in the season kind of set the tone for what was going to happen for the roster as a whole. I mean, who hasn't missed at least a game? Bratt? Did Bratt miss at least a game? Mercer hasn't missed a game in his NHL career, which is wild. Even because he started through that little COVID thing where there were shutdowns and this player was getting sick. Mercer hasn't missed a game. But, a lot of players on this team have this year, and Nosek was kind of the first of the bunch to go down and kind of start that trend. He's just now returning. Hopefully he's able to help stabilize what has been a mediocre to below average penalty kill this season, play a little more solid defensively when the stars aren't on the ice. He's going to provide a lot to the lineup, I think. I'm not positive it's going to be, he steps right in tonight in game whatever tonight is, 40-something, and, just make them the Stanley Cup contender that we thought they were going to be in night one. He's not an offensive type player. You need to get Jack Hughes back. You need Timo Meier to start really filling the net. Bratt, Mercer, all these guys are relied on to score. Nosek just can come in and be a good bottom six role player type guy. I'm excited to have him back, though. I think this lineup, at its best, it's coming. I really do think it's coming with Jack's probable return Thursday against Calgary. I think Nosek is a big part of this team being put on the ice the way Tom Fitzgerald imagined in July.
Yeah, and when they signed Nosek, we even said on this podcast he was somewhat of an insurance policy from Michael McLeod. Now will be indefinitely out of the lineup, maybe for good. Who knows? But
probably for good.
But again, Nosek is now in. He didn't play the 2 games prior to the All-Star break, and he's going to have every opportunity to succeed. And other players are coming back, like eventually Jack Hughes, but also with the LTIR and and obviously the salary cap relief of the two other players. I think it's about $11.6 million. And that gives Tom Fitzgerald tremendous amount of flexibility to either get players or weaponize that cap for whatever reason. So it gives him options to do two things. Hopefully, it gives him an option to be a buyer by trade deadline because the team's doing well and they're going for the playoff push. But it also gives him the option as well to do the same thing, be a buyer, but also possibly use that cap space to get some picks back. I don't know. That's an unusual move, but I thought he has flexibility to do either or, really.
Yeah, he really kind of can look at this from a couple different perspectives. So we did learn yesterday afternoon, for those who are unaware, that the 5 players, going down for the Hockey Canada scandal, other teams are getting salary cap relief. So the Devils are getting 2 players removed, and McLeod was obviously the one taking up some money. That's all freed up, and Doug Hamilton was put on long-term injured reserve. So until he comes back, which it wouldn't shock me if this team made the playoffs and they kind of did what the Lightning did with Kucherov a couple years ago, and the Hawks have done it with Patrick Kane back in the day when Kane missed like the last 2 years of this, or 2 months of the season, and all of a sudden he's magically ready for the first game of the postseason. Except during that time they loaded up on trade deadline acquisitions and they went on and won the Stanley Cup. The Lightning did the same thing. Kucherov was out. They had Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, and they put him on a line with Brianni Gordon. It's the best third line in NHL history. Well, the Devils they're not in a great spot right now because of some injuries to other players on the team, but they can really get themselves back into this thing with relative ease. A good week and a half, and they're right back into like being within a point or two or even up a point or two on a playoff spot. I know it's a tough draw tonight with the Colorado Avalanche. Things do ease up a little bit into February. January was brutally loaded with some of the top teams in the league, but yeah, he can think about next year, add some draft picks, because I do think this team's going to be a wagon for the next 5 years. This year's tough because of goaltending and young developing defensemen. You got a 20-year-old Luke Hughes and 19-year-old Nemitz playing top minutes. Those guys are only going to get better. Missing Hamilton basically since they were missing Nosek. I mean, those two things were pretty similar timeline-wise. But yeah, could they add an expensive player that is a good player, but they can use the salary cap and weaponize it? I absolutely think that's
they
a
could drive up
possibility.
the price right now for any other of their rivals. They're going to go head to head against, and then
they don't need other teams to retain too.
Yeah. So the Devils have flexibility there, and it all comes down to right now that defense and goaltending.
Yep.
What's going to actually happen? That's the curious question, because I'm in the belief that VTech is going to figure it out. I'm in the belief that the growing pains is a good thing for the organization with that defense long term. But in the short term, do you use that 11-something million and bring in a defenseman in to kind of shore up the loss of Dougie Hamilton in terms of minutes and at least playing defense? Dougie Hamilton was really a offensive juggernaut, but
I certainly think it's possible. Does Anaheim have a defenseman that could eat up minutes that they could send over with Adam Henrique? Does Calgary have something they could send over with maybe like a Markstrom to play goalie? I know VTech and anyone, they could form a nice duo down the stretch, and we'll see. We'll talk about the playoffs if they get there. I'm trying to think of some other bottom feeders. Would the Blackhawks let go of somebody like Connor Murphy? Tom Fitzgerald has talked about not loving rentals. Connor Murphy would be here for the rest of this season and all of next year. I think that'd be a great addition for the Devils. There's lots of options. Then let's say Colorado smokes them tonight and it starts a 5-game losing streak. At the deadline, we've seen so far this year, and I know people don't want to hear this. This is like worst case scenario. But we've seen Elias Lindholm and I'm drawing a blank on the other one. There was another Sean Monahan. Both of these guys were traded for first-round picks, Sam. First-round picks. Toffoli's better than both of them. If they go on a skid in February and they move on from Tyler Toffoli for a first-round pick, they could do that and make playoffs. I know that wouldn't happen. They wouldn't trade Toffoli if they're like firmly in a playoff spot, but like there's options out there for this team if the long-term future is truly in their best interest.
It's a very interesting scenario because it could go either way, but to have that cap space, I mean, it's you don't wish any harm on Dougie Hamilton with an injury or whatever, but that cap space gives Fitzgerald, Hannafin is what Steve Engel's thinking.
Hannafin's a good player.
Yeah. Now, Colorado. In Calgary, there's already a relationship building between the New Jersey Devils and Calgary. I think they are impressed with Yegor Sharangovich, what they got in return. And
they should be. He's a good player.
Yeah, and both teams got what they wanted out of that deal because the situations are different.
Mm-hmm.
If Calgary decides to talk to Tom Fitzgerald, the fleece master himself, what kind of deal could you make? Could you bring both Hannafin and Tanev over?
Yep, that's a possibility. I heard a report today, I don't know how true it is, that the Devils are not interested in Tanev because he's not long-term. Mm-hmm. I don't know Tom Fitzgerald's infatuation with long-term. I mean, rentals are a thing when you're trying to win the Stanley Cup, but it's hard to talk about winning the Stanley Cup when you're 5 points out of a playoff spot in February. So, there's all sorts of different ways. I would if they brought in Tanev and Hannafin in the same little trade deadline. I mean, you're adding a D pair, right? Like you're adding a literal whole D pair, and then guys like Kevin Ball and Hataka and all these guys who are playing now, they become like 7th and 8th defensemen in the playoffs. I really don't think it's a good idea to think about Nemitz ever playing in the AHL ever again. He's been their best defenseman basically since he came up. Yeah. Best overall defenseman. I think Luke Hughes' ceiling offensively is in Dougie Hamilton territory. We'll see if it's in his brother Quinn Hughes' territory. That remains to be seen. But at minimum, I think it's Dougie Hamilton territory. There's a lot of options. And you know what? If they could just get a save down the stretch here, I think that we'll all think the defenders are looking better. And the forwards, they'll seem like they're scoring more. And, it all comes down to that, I think, at the end of the day. Huge test against Colorado today. I watched their entire game with my head up, phone down yesterday against the New York Rangers. I was locked in. Zach Parise made his Avalanche debut, and I was just locked into this thing. In Colorado, they're suffocating. They play fast. The Nate Dogg is hard on the puck every time he's out there. Cale Makar's weaving around. Mikko Rantanen is going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's the most forgotten about player in the NHL. A team like that is really how you can assess these types of things. All these things we're talking about, go watch and see how they play against Colorado tonight. They played them in Denver. I want to say it was early December, late November. It was around that time, I remember. They played them hard, and it was like back and forth until the Avs pulled away in the end. And so if you're able to keep them from doing that, that's a quality opponent. Then the trade deadline things might start to flip the other way around. Like there's just all sorts of possibilities here, but I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Tom Fitzgerald not wanting rentals because if he's not wanting rentals right now, he probably believes that the team, the team's not there yet. The potential's there, but I know there's the argument from people, well, we got to take advantage of all these entry-level contracts and all that. Again, baloney. If the team's not ready, they're not ready. And
Cap's going up. Cap's going up. Hughes and Hischier are both locked in on extremely cheap deals. If Hischier hit the market right now, he'd get 9 or 10. And if Hughes hit the market right now, he'd get 12 or 13. He's a better player than Nylander. I would rather have Jack Hughes than William Nylander. I honestly don't even think it's like a debate. Nylander just got 11 sheets a year starting next year, and he's been in a major slump since signing the contract. 8 points in 11 games, I think it is. So, you got these guys for cheap. The cap is going up. Luke Hughes is only going to get better. Nemitz is only going to get better. They do have a couple more years on this entry level. If you tell me in 2027, when Heischer's 28 years old and Hughes is 26 years old, and they're really good. They're putting up a combined 180 points a season. They put up 179 points last year, so I could probably even go higher than that. Well, they're putting up a total of 200 points a season between the two of them. You get a rental in that season, all in. But a year like this, when things have kind of felt Florida Panther-y, like last year, not saying they're going to go to the Cup final, but that really good team that has kind of taken a step back a little bit in the regular season. We'll see what happens down the stretch, just like we said with Florida last year. Yeah, I'm not too sure on going all in on rentals. Like, did Florida get a rental last year? They got Giroux. They gave up Owen Tippett for Giroux. I don't see the Devils giving up Casey for a rental forward. But,
was
they
Giroux
already
on the team last year?
Yeah. They traded Owen Tippett and a first-round pick in next year's draft to get
I thought it was
Giroux.
the year before, but I don't know.
No, that was last year. But, the Devils already made a trade like that, and they locked him in long-term with Timo Meier. So, we'll see how that goes. But the Florida Panthers do give the entire fan base hope based on what they did last year.
I'll tell you, if the Devils don't make the playoffs, say if they don't, or they do badly in February.
Yeah.
Again, to replenish and restock with draft picks, again, is not a bad thing. I know fans don't want to hear that, but last season kind of reminded me of 2018. You could feel it, you could see it, but at the same time, it's like the team they took 15 steps forward. Maybe they've taken several steps back, but they're still heading in the right direction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. My main difference between last year's team and the 2018 team is you had Taylor Hall get 90-something points, and Hischier was in the 50s, and then there was a significant drop-off after that. I think Bratt was like their third leading scorer or Paul Mary was probably their third leading scorer in the 40s, and then Bratt was in the 30s. It was a very flawed team that got miracle goaltending from Keith Kincaid in the second half when Schneider started to fumble, and Taylor Hall really carried them. He deserved the Hart Trophy that year. I know the Nate Dogg is great, but Taylor Hall deserved the Hart Trophy that year. Last year's team, Hughes had 99 points, but it almost didn't feel like it. He had more points than Hall, and he wasn't even in the slight consideration for the Hart Trophy. He was top whatever in votes. He's a real good season, but he sure had 80. Bratt was in the 70s. Meier was in the 60s. Mercer almost scored 30 goals. Hamilton was fourth in Norris, I think, or something like that. He had 70-something points. Like, it felt like a true team last year. Vitek was real good in net all year, and then Akira Schmid came in late. Last year felt a lot more like a building block, and this year you still can see what is going to make this team really good in the long term. But like you said, there's growing pains to go with it.
Yeah, not to bust your bubble, but I sent you a text on Claude Giroux. Anyway,
I'm dumb.
No, it's okay. You know what? I just don't because I'm watching the Stanley Cup playoffs last season. I didn't see Giroux anywhere. That's why I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Giroux was the Panthers 2 years ago. Patrick Kane was last year, and because I know there was a similar like they have the same agent and they wanted the same kind of return, and the Panthers the Flyers did well in the return for Giroux. The Hawks not so much for Kane, but yeah, good call. He played 82 games last year, 35 goals, 44 assists. Not quite on that pace this year so far as Giroux, but he's still a real good player. That's a compelling Hall of Fame argument.
Yeah. And, he had some great years with the Philadelphia Flyers, which, the Devils are going to be playing at the outdoor game at MetLife Stadium, which now segues to our plug. joinourcrew.com. We've had well over 100 signups. Joinourcrew.com to MetLife Stadium parking lot, lot M2, as in Marty 2. Joinourcrew.com. We will have the latest updates of our big tailgate. You see that big font? Big tailgate. February 17th. And we got live DJing from Scotty at SiriusXM Liquid Metal. So playing the music that you want. Also playing my iPod from 2006 as well. And the whole crew of the Let's Go Devils podcast for the first time will be in one place. And it'll be in that parking lot, M2, MetLife Stadium. You take the Plaza A entrance. You pay your $40, $50, whatever, and you park in the M lot. There's also the L lot. I know Tom's taking a bus there. He's bringing a whole. You can just hop over to the M lot. Also, I posted that cattle tunnel picture on Twitter and Facebook. I don't know if you saw it, Vinny.
It blew up.
It blew up because it brought back memories of it used to be made of wood, and the wood was not very sturdy, and you had to see the traffic, the highway beneath you. I believe it's 120, and the damn thing shook as you're chanting "Rangers suck, let's go Devils," and and Short Sky even remembered in '95 that somebody was pounding the wall of the cattle tunnel, and it actually broke. It actually broke. The piece actually broke. The wall actually broke. But we should get to our predictions because I know Ramona Rice loves predictions. 4-2 Devils, she says.
Wow. You want me to give mine right away?
Sure.
The Devils are going to get it done tonight against the Colorado Avalanche, one of the best teams in the NHL. One of my real possibilities to win the Stanley Cup are the Avalanche. Hall of Famers all over the place. They played yesterday. Can't use that as an excuse because only the Devils are truly trash on the second half of back-to-backs. I fully expect the Nate Dogg and Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen to be buzzing around. Zach Parise looked real good in his debut yesterday. Tenacious on the puck like we always know he could be. Getting shots on goal, playing with Johansson and Arturi Lehkonen, who Arturi Lehkonen reminds me of a diet version of him in his prime. So it should be interesting to see how that line's going. But I think the Devils are going to get it done 3-2.
Wow. Toffoli is out tonight.
What?
Yeah, he's ill, according to the New Jersey Devils. Tweeting it out on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Okay.
So Tyler Toffoli's out. He is ill. And the Devils are going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to figure it out. The Colorado Avalanche, now they're playing the second half of a back-to-back, but this is a veteran team. They've got Zach Parise right now. So, the score, I don't know. You're still going to stick with your 3-2 prediction?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I am. I don't think that's a relatively high score. They played the Rangers yesterday, and both teams have a lot of firepower, and it was 2-1 in overtime.
DJ in the Facebook Live says, got to take advantage of the Avalanche team who played last night at MSG. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Steve Engel says 5-3 Avs. Selector Boy says 4-3 Devils. Michael Descala says 5-4 Devils. Joseph Lanham says 5-2 Devils. Willman is in. Zach W says 3-2 Devils. SST says 5-1 Avs. Welcome back, SST. Hope you behave. Let's see here.
Do it.
It's so hard. But I think it's going to be a 7-5 Devils win.
Let's go.
I think it's going to be a lot of offense, and I really think the Devils are going to have a lot of energy. And energy. Devs fan says 5-2 Devils win. Nosek Hattie, LOL. So we have our opinions.
I would, if Nosek came back and had a hat trick, that would be absolutely unbelievable.
Oh yeah. But it should be interesting. New look Devils, and it's going to be, again, now is the time to start building that trust, and maybe the defense, that young defense, needed a timeout, take a break, and now they're going to come back and refocus, and hopefully they play better. Yeah. So, all right, I want to thank all those tuning in. Just remember, joinourcrew.com. You got the QR code on the bottom left-hand corner. Joinourcrew.com. Get the latest updates of our live event at the MetLife Stadium parking lot, Lot M2. Again, it's Lot M2. M as in Marty. February 17th. It's going to be a great time. Our big tailgate. We're going to have some Ant Crew brew there. We're going to have live DJing from Scotty at Sirius XM, Liquid Metal. We're going to have Paul Marino giving out pocket cookies. Also, possibly a Submarino in the parking lot. We've also got Vinnie Parise as well. And Shorts Guy and all sorts of stuff going on. So, joinourcrew.com. Thank you. And I'm going to hit the music, Vinny. It's a wonderful podcast tonight. Devils taking on the Avalanche. Game 1 of the second half of the season. Don't forget to see us after the game. Devils After Dark. Yes, Devils After Dark. Scotty at Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was here on all of our social media platforms. Well, dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. Till next time, let's go Devils.